A brand new poll suggests that Donald Trump could possibly win the Commonwealth of Virginia. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today we have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because we have a brand new poll out of Virginia that shows Donald Trump within striking distance of Kamala Harris. Yeah, that's right. This ain't a poll from 2 months ago, not a poll from a month ago. No. This is a poll from last week from Rono College, and it shows Trump down by only 3. Yeah, that's not a misquote. They have Harris only up by 3 points in Virginia, not Minnesota, not Wisconsin, not Michigan, no, Virginia. You know, back in 2020, the same state, or I should say Commonwealth, that voted for Biden by over 10 points. Yeah, now they have it within the margin of error, which, by the way, this ain't that much of a change from their last poll. I think they had Biden up by like a point or so. So, all that happened since Biden dropped out was like a 2-point shift, which is well within the poll's margin of error. So, in other words, nothing changed. You're talking about no real difference in the last poll. You're not showing Harris with a 15-point swing. No, it's like a 2 to 3 point swing with a poll that has a margin of error of 4 points. What great news for Harris. If Kamala Harris really had a surge, like not just a response bias, but an actual surge, she should have went up like 10 points in Virginia. Because it's not like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, where those are actual swing states, right? Virginia, at least before 2024, was not a swing state. It was a Democrat state that every now and again they might elect a Republican governor. But ever since 2004, it's been voting Democrat every single cycle. But now, this poll shows, Trump's actually down by only 3, which is virtually no change from the prior poll that had Biden up by like a point. That is not what Harris needed. And this is Virginia. Demographically speaking, you would think, oh my goodness, this is free real estate for Harris. This is a perfect state for her. It's very college educated. It has Nova, where all the government workers work. You would think that this would be a perfect state for her. But she's only up by 3. Not just head to head, but the full field. You include Cornel West, RFK, Jill Stein, etc. She's only up by 3. That is not what she needed. Because this is the one state that you could argue should have the biggest swing from Biden compared to the polling, not from 2020, because I really believe no matter what, Virginia will shift Republican. It's just a matter of how much. But you would think Harris would be doing like 10 points better in the Commonwealth. She's doing 2 to 3. Not what she needed. And funny enough, this comes mere hours after Future Ford, a big super PAC for Harris, publicly admitted to Reuters that, oh yeah, by the way, our numbers are much less rosy than what you're seeing in the public. In other words, the public polls that have Harris up in like Wisconsin by 5, Michigan by 7, they're bullshit. They're full of shit. They're not real. I mean, Future Ford is a Democrat super PAC. Why the hell would they admit this? Unless their polling is that bad that they have to say, well, the public polling, it's a little bit, too good for Harris. In reality, it's a bit closer. Why would you admit this? Unless the polling is just that bad. And this comes, 12 hours before this poll came out? So, is it really that crazy to say that Virginia might be in play? I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but if a Democrat super PAC that's spending like hundreds of millions of dollars admits that Harris's internal polling is not that good, well, maybe you could argue Virginia, a state that in recent years has slowly shifted Republican, which again, you can argue, well, that's during a midterm, that's during a, governorship election. I get that. But it seems like Virginia has had a slight shift to the right in recent years. Well, is it crazy to say that maybe it's just gotten so bad for Democrats here that they could possibly lose it? Again, I am not saying Trump's gonna for sure win Virginia, but if he's only down by 3 points, is there really that crazy to say there could be a polling miss where Trump's actually up by a point? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's a legitimate possibility. And for those that don't know, Rono College is a decent pollster. They're not the best, but people make it sound like they're the worst pollster ever. They're not. Let's look at their polling history. 2008, they had Obama +9. The final result was Obama +6. So off by 3 points within the margin of error. Really, the only big miss they had was in 2012, where their final poll was Romney +5. Obama won the state by 4. So that was the only real big miss since 2008. 2016, their final poll was, I believe it was, Clinton +7. It ended up being Clinton +5. Not that big of a miss. I mean, a 2-point miss with a 4-point margin of error, that's nothing. 2020, their final poll was Biden +11. He ended up winning by 9.5, or around 10. Notice something? The poll, relatively speaking, is fairly accurate. It's not the best, but it is way better than what the New York Times is shitting out daily. It's a good pollster overall. It's not the best. Again, there are some misses here and there, but every pollster has that. Every pollster has a big miss once in a while. Not every single poll they conduct, they're off by 10 points. It's no, once every 10 polls, you get a weird one. And Rono College, they have usually a good history. But notice how every one of these examples, except 2012, Democrats have been overstated by 2 to 3 points. Yeah, by 2 to 3 points, Roanoke College has overstated Democrats in Virginia since 2008, except 2012. Hell, even 2021, where Youngkin won by 2, their final poll was McAuliffe +1. Again, within the margin of error, but a 3-point miss. And this poll claims that Trump's only down by 3. If Trump is really down by 3 points, which, I still have questions about, it's entirely possible that with it being the margin of error of 4 points, he could actually be up right now. I know that sounds crazy. I mean, this is Virginia. This is a Biden +10 state. How the hell could Trump win it? Well, in recent years, like I said, it seems like Republicans have gotten their act together and have started to do very good in the Commonwealth. I mean, 2021, they took back the governorship, they won the attorney general position, and they took back the lower chamber in the state legislature. Now, 2022, they did way better across the board. And 2023, they did lose the legislature, but at least you could argue, well, it was because of redistricting and that's why they lost. So, outside of that, ever since 2020, Glenn Youngkin and Virginia Republicans have been doing a good job. And that's why I think it's not crazy to say, well, maybe Virginia, in a good night for Trump, could possibly vote for him. And that's a huge deal because if you look at the Electoral College right now, Trump's pathway is obviously Georgia and Pennsylvania. That's his easiest pathway. There are other pathways for Trump, we've talked about this. He can win Wisconsin, win Arizona, win Georgia. He's got the presidency. There are a bunch of pathways with this map. But can you imagine, let's say somehow Trump loses Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. At that point in time in Nebraska's second, he's done. Harris at 270, he cannot win. Even if he wins Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, he's at 268. But what if something crazy happens and he actually wins Virginia? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but now you see why this is a big deal. Because this opens up a whole nother pathway for him. He doesn't have to win any of the Rust Belt states. Again, I'm not saying do the strategy, but it gives him another pathway to winning, even without the Rust Belt. Hell, if something crazy happens in, Arizona, and let's say Trump is down in Michigan and Pennsylvania, and let's say Harris wins Virginia, well, Trump can win Wisconsin, but lose. But in this scenario, he can win with Virginia, even without Nevada or Wisconsin. He can afford to lose one of those two states. That's why Trump being up in Virginia, even if it's a fluke, maybe it's statistical noise, I get that. But if this is real, that he's only down by 2 to 3 points from a pollster that, relatively speaking, is accurate in the Commonwealth, well, Trump's pathways to winning has expanded like tenfold. It gives him hundreds, if not thousands, of more pathways to winning. You're talking about a bunch of scenarios that are crazy, but it's entirely possible now. He can win through Virginia. Not saying it's going to happen again. Do not do that. But it opens up so many different possibilities for Trump. Now, if polling continues to get very close in Virginia, despite the quote-unquote Harris surge, it might make sense to spend some time in Virginia, especially surrounding Virginia Beach, because you can also do rallies close to North Carolina. That's why it would make sense to do rallies there. And on top of that, Virginia has a ton of veterans, and that's a big deal because, well, look at Tim Walz, the VP for Harris. He has a bunch of scandals surrounding his military experience. Now, I'm not saying that's going to automatically flip the state, but if the Trump campaign makes a big deal about that and compare that to J.D. Vance, who actually went to Iraq, not lie about it, well, that could be a big frickin' deal, especially in Virginia. Now, obviously, you cannot win just because of veteran voters. You have to do better in places like Loudoun, Prince William, Fairfax, with the government workers. You just have to. If you don't, you could theoretically win Virginia, I guess, if you just max everything out and then win places like Chesterfield, Charles City, I guess. But if you're getting crushed in Loudoun County by 25, Fairfax by 41, it's technically possible where you could, I guess, win, but you don't want to get crushed by 40 points here, 40 points there, 25 here. You just don't want to, because at that point, you have to run the table. You have to win Virginia Beach by like 15 points, you know, a place like Suffolk by God knows how much. You just have to run it up in the rest of the state. I guess it's possible, but it's just so unlikely where I don't think it's going to happen. That's why if you're Trump, you want to do even just 5 to 6 points better in Nova. Because if you're doing 15 points better in Virginia Beach, you know, in this part of the state as a whole, it could be enough. It could be enough, especially if you are doing even better in, you know, the western part of the state. That doesn't mean he's going to win the Commonwealth. It just means that Trump's pathway becomes so much easier if he is in fact doing 20 points better with veterans. He's doing slightly better with the government workers in Nova. There's a lot of things that have to go right, but it seems like the polling's indicating, yeah, Trump does have a pathway here. It might be slim, but there is a pathway for Trump to win Virginia, which, again, we went over the map. If he does somehow pull it off, it opens up so many more pathways to victory. It's unlikely, but it almost guarantees he's going to be the next president. If he wins Virginia, he's probably winning Georgia. At that point, I would highly doubt that he would lose Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, even Michigan. I mean, if you're winning Virginia, you're talking about Republicans doing way better across the board. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.